The pro wrestling world has been mourning the loss of its biggest star ever in Hulk Hogan, who passed away on July 24th at the age of 71. His influence on the industry is second to none, and for many, the global phenomenon of sports entertainment as we know it does not exist without the Hulkster. The Babe Ruth of WWE had a career that spanned decades and has been filled with iconic moments that transcended the wrestling business. Following his sad passing, we remember 10 of the greatest and most important moments in his illustrious career and of the immortal Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman. Now, look, Hogan's crossover appeal was no more evident than when he brought in NBA superstar Dennis Rodman into the nWo. At the height of his fame with the Chicago Bulls dynasty, the rebellious Rodman was a perfect fit for the heel faction. The two teamed up at Bash at the Beach in 1998 to take on none other than Diamond Dallas Page and fellow NBA legend Karl Malone. The match was a massive mainstream media success for WCW at the time and really showed, hey, this is where the big boys play. Now, unfortunately, it didn't lead to further success for WCW as they were already on the decline by then, but still, it was a moment in which is arguably one of the biggest moments in WCW history. Hulk Hogan signs with WCW. Some of Hogan's biggest moments happened outside of the WWE ring. In 1994, after leaving WWE, he signed a landmark deal with its biggest competitor in World Championship Wrestling. I'm talking about WCW. The move was instantly something that legitimized as WCW as a major player in the pro wrestling landscape. It put the company on the map and set the stage for the Monday Night Wars, the biggest rivalry in wrestling history. The scene of them being having the parade and Hogan in the back of the car and him waving at fans and then having the giant podium and signing the contract. It's one of the most iconic moments in wrestling history. It really, really is. Hulkamania is reborn in 2002, weeks after his incredible fan reaction at WrestleMania 18 against The Rock, which turned him back into being a beloved babyface. Hogan received a shot at the undisputed WWE Championship. In a shocking and nostalgic moment at Backlash 2002, he went over Triple H to win the title. Oh, I would have loved to have been the fly on the wall to see Triple H's reaction when he was informed of that news. Now, the victory marked his first WWE Championship reign in nearly a decade, and it was a final feel-good run for the red and yellow of Hulkamania. This was an interesting time for Hogan because he came back. It didn't work as nWo. He had to go back into being Hulkamania. That lasted a little bit, and then he disappeared only to come back, and then he did Mr. America in 2003, and I still don't understand that storyline. Hulk Hogan and Mr. T at WrestleMania 1. The first WrestleMania was a massive gamble that paid off thanks in large part due to the involvement of mainstream celebrity Mr. T. Now, Hogan, he teamed up with the star of the A-Team to take on Rowdy Roddy Piper and Paula Orndorff in the main event. The match and the event generated a massive mainstream interest, and it set the stage for WWE to become a global billion-dollar company that it is today. Even though people crap on Mr. T because of his Hall of Fame speech that literally went on forever, Mr. T was a huge part of that WrestleMania build. He was a huge part of getting Hulkamania over. He was a huge part of getting WrestleMania over, in this match over, and in this time, at this time, in this spot, he absolutely crushed it. Hulk Hogan versus The Rock at WrestleMania 18. Billed as icon versus icon, the showdown between Hulk Hogan and The Rock at WrestleMania 18 was a dream match of epic proportions. Although Hogan entered as the heel leader of the nWo, the Toronto crowd decided to cheer their beloved babyface in Hulk Hogan. This forced both men to adapt on the fly, with with Rock working as a heel and Hogan as a babyface. The result was an unforgettable spectacle with one of the most electric crowd reactions in wrestling history. One of the most iconic matches, one of the most memorable matches, one of the most beloved matches. I vividly remember begging my mom to buy this event because I was a massive Rock fan. It was my first ever WrestleMania they got to see live, or not live, but on pay-per-view live, I guess, instead of having to rent VHSs. Does anyone else remember VHSs? I do. Hulk Hogan passes the torch to the Ultimate Warrior. The main event of WrestleMania was an unpredictable spectacle at WrestleMania 9. It pitted WWE's two biggest babyface stars against each other in a champion versus champion, title versus title match. It was a rare clean loss in his prime for Hogan, who was defeated by the Ultimate Warrior in what was meant to be a passing of the torch type moment. It was one of the most greatest matches of Hogan's career and truly historical. You also got to keep in mind this was actually very, very rare back in the day to do babyface versus babyface, especially with Hogan there. But WWE felt like there's only one guy that can truly make Warrior the next Hogan or the next top guy. It was never going to work. You could just, tell. But it's Vince McMahon. He has his, you know, certain talents that he likes to push, and Warrior fit that bill. The Mega Powers explode. The year-long saga of the Mega Powers is one of the greatest stories that WWE has ever told. The friendship between Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh, yeah. Their dominance as a tag team and slow burn of Savage's jealous descent into madness and was an absolute masterclass in long-term booking. The storyline ended in an epic and personal main event clash at a WrestleMania. Hogan and Savage went to war over the WWE Championship and the affections of Miss Elizabeth in a blockbuster payoff. You want to talk about storytelling, you want to talk about how to tell a proper story, this is it, okay? This was cinema at cinema's finest. Go back, watch this. I'm sure WWE Vault has put together like how this storyline came together and all the way to the finish. Highly recommend you go and check it out. Hulkamania is born. While the Andre the Giant Slam is one of the most remembered moments, Hulkamania officially began January 23rd, 1984. On that night in Madison Square Garden was Hogan defeating the Iron Sheik to win his first WWE Championship. Now, this victory kicked off the Rock and Wrestling Connection and a multi-year dominant title reign that saw Hogan become a real-life babyface to a generation of talent. He held that title for so long during this title run. It was years, something in which I don't think we're ever going to see surpassed. But hey, maybe Roman will have another reign, or maybe Hogan was surpassed by Reigns in his title run then. But regardless, Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania, this was it. This was the moment. Hulk Hogan forms the nWo. If slamming Andre was the birth of the wrestling boom of the 1980s, Hogan's heel turn, that was the spark that ignited the 90s boom, was truly it. At WCW's Bash at the Beach in 1996, the biggest babyface in the industry had ever known turned to the dark side. He joined Scott Hall and Kevin Nash to form the nWo. The shocking turn really gave new life and juice into Hogan's career and launched the most successful and influential factions in wrestling history, making WCW the top company in the world. It was an absolute must decision, and it's something in which will live in wrestling history for years and decades. I think it's just one of those moments that it will never die, and 100 years from now, people will look back and go, wow, that really did change the business. Hulk Hogan slams Andre the Giant at WrestleMania III. Now, look, this is arguably the single most iconic moment in the history of the wrestling business. In front of a record-setting crowd at the Pontiac Silverdome, it was Hulk Hogan who faced the quote-unquote undefeated monster, Andre the Giant, even though Andre had been beaten multiple times by them. But hey, I digress. Now, look, the entire match was built on a single moment. When Hogan lifted the 500-pound giant and slammed him in the center of the ring, a pop culture phenomenon was born and wrestling was changed forever. One of the best moments ever. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend you go and watch this match. It sucks, but the moments, the nostalgic, that is what you watch the match for.